Hello, everyone. It has been quite a long time, and you might have wondered, where in the world did Muse go? And what in the world happened to Muse? If you've been around long enough, you might remember Mini Muse and some of our makeup escapades, including the eyeball incident. Mini Muse has increased the talent since. I am a spooky ghost, and I'm here to announce some very cool stuff. You may have already seen it on Rely on Horror, but I have some really good news for the channel. A couple of good news. Longtime fans may know that I have been self-publishing some books, most of them about Silent Hill. Specifically, I have a series that really was only one book about the people that made Silent Hill. Well, very recently, it has been picked up by an official publisher, as well as the sequel covering all of the other games, which at time when I began this project were the only Silent Hill games. Since then, there's now a modern era. Unfortunately, that's just not going to be covered. There's no time or space to cover them in these two projects. But maybe if they succeed, we'll see a part 3. My books are officially being published by Taylor and Francis, which are like an academic publisher. Like, I read their textbooks when I was in college. This was like really huge to me, and I'll tell the whole story. I am also now a contributor to Rely on Horror. They wrote the article about me. I had actually approached them pretty recently saying, hey, are you guys looking for writers? I'd like to try and get into some more writing and video game work. And they were kind enough to bring me on board. And then this book thing happened. And so like everything exploded. But in the next coming weeks, I will actually be dropping some cool, unique, never seen anywhere else info I found about Silent Hill on Rely on Horror. This is also stuff you won't necessarily get in the book because it includes things like pictures and stuff that I can't really use in the books for legal reasons. So, you know, you're going to get some cool new Silent Hill information in the coming weeks. The books themselves, we're looking at probably late this year, maybe more likely early next year, because the publisher is giving me the time to actually comb through, add new information, really try and reach out to developers, which I have, and I've gotten some folks that have responded back to me. And so these books will have information that you've never seen before. Even the first book, if you've read my first book about K-Set, there is new information in there, new stuff that's come out since the Silent Hill 2 remake came out, Tsubayama coming out and appearing online again. These books are going to be great. It's going to be amazing about the making of Silent Hills, basically from the very beginning with Silent Hill in 1999 to the end of an era with Downpour and Book of Memories, and then the PT we'll cover a little bit there. Maybe touch on an epilogue about the modern era, but that will mostly be left to another day. So let's explain, why did all this happen? Well, you may know, as of this point, I've written 4 books about the Silent Hill series Symbolism, a book about the history, and I was working on another one going into the next games, and I'd written a book about Bayonetta and Shin Megami Tensei. You may not realize, as a YouTuber, most of my income actually came from the books. Especially in recent years, YouTube has really changed, and I don't make a lot of money off of advertising. It's partly because the type of videos I make take a long time to do. They are heavily researched, they're often very long, so like I might make a bit of money back on a video, but when you compare it to the amount of time and effort that goes into it, it's pennies on the hour. So the videos were really never what helped me make this channel and do a job. What happened was around 2019 when I started really working and writing these books is that they became my income. People would watch the videos, they would like my research, they would look for more, they would find the books and purchase those. And that helped me get by. Patreon and memberships have also, of course, been helpful, but because of, again, my work taking so long and so much I've never had the time to make extra videos or extra content for patrons, so that really never took off and has always kind of steadily just been a very small group of people who like my work. So the books were the reason the channel succeeded. So what happened? Last year, I wrote a book about Silent Hill 4, the Symbolism part of the ongoing series. And as it was being published, America's tariffs came around. And unfortunately, they hit me hard. They hit me impossibly hard. I was looking at most of my global sales were going to cost anywhere from $50 to $100 to ship a $15 book. And most of my sales were global. I suddenly found myself having to refund almost every single pre-order and losing the entirety of that month's income. I was screwed really bad by that event. and the timing of it in particular, because I make the most money when the books first come out, and then slowly, like over the months, the kind of backlog, I make a little bit each month, and then I write a new book and you get a little uptick, that kind of thing. And so I was screwed. It hurt me very badly, and it made it so that I could no longer sell my books anywhere but the United States. And they don't sell here. My YouTube audience is primarily from the United States. My book sales are everywhere. And now I found that the main source of income that was helping my YouTube succeed was kaput. It was gone. Now, there were other factors going on in my life. Last March, I had abdominal surgery because I was chronically disabled for a long time. I'm now cured, but it took time and effort to recover from, and we moved across state lines. I now live with family in the area of Atlanta, Georgia. So a lot of things were happening last year that also made it so like my YouTube was slowed down. I wasn't writing as much, but I stopped making money because I couldn't sell my books anymore. And I knew that that was like gonna be a problem. I had to figure something out. Either I was gonna have to find a way to make the YouTube make more money, which would basically mean becoming a way more of a content farm. That's what makes money on YouTube. You have to post a lot, you have to post really often, and the kind of content I make just takes too long. You can't make a 2-hour deep dive into a video game or an hour-long analysis and do that every day or even every week. And even then, the amount of effort that goes into it, it's just, at my channel size, it doesn't pay off. So I knew YouTube wasn't going to be the answer. Patreon and memberships, maybe I could have tried to find, and I did sort of try to find a way to make those a little more intriguing on the writing side, because, you know, trying to get more of my writing career out there really didn't do anything either. They really are just small supplements to the YouTube channel. So the answer had to be, I had to find a way to make these books work. Well, if I could not self-publish them and then sell them anymore, I was going to have to find someone who could, which meant a publisher. I was a little anxious about this because obviously, you know, I studied research and academia and English in college and wrote these kind of things. And once upon a time, that was my bread and butter. And then, you know, I've not really done that for years. I've never been officially published, but it's my dream since I was a kid was always to write and publish a book. I framed my first rejection letter when I was 10 years old, so that has been my life's dream. And I really kind of had given up on it. I didn't really think it was going to happen. But it seemed like the only way I was going to get around these tariffs was if someone else could publish and sell it in other countries for me. And so I started reaching out, and I did get bites where people were interested. It just wasn't feasible because this is a book about Konami and Silent Hill, and that's a huge kind of thing. And not every book publisher or whatever can handle like getting the rights or deal with what have you. And then I just kept throwing things at the wall, and I got a hit from Taylor and Francis, who apparently, I guess, is big enough and academic enough they don't give a shit. And they were on board from the get-go. I was shocked. They were interested, and when they heard I had more research I hadn't self-published, they wanted both, and they were like, hey, get started, get working, we'll publish it when you finish your manuscript, turn it in, let's do it, and see how this goes. I think in part, that is a big part because of you guys. As much as I've just been saying that the YouTube has kind of struggled to make money, at the same time, money's not everything. And the YouTube has really been a place for me to create, to learn how to research these games, to share what I've learned. And I've seen this stuff spread out there where people talk about it. People know who the Muse is. Even games developers have referenced my work before, and that feels incredible. And I think these publishers saw that I had a fan base, that I had all these videos and all this research, and that like there was some legitimacy to that, and decided to take a chance. And that may not have happened if I was just some random no-name person with a manuscript. So thank you. Like, this is my childhood dream, and it came to life because of YouTube and all the videos and all the interactions and everything that has been happening over the years. My goal, my hope, I would love for these books to really succeed in a way that the company is incentivized to want me to write more about them. Because I think there's so many video games out there, and series in particular, that there's a lot of history that's lost. There's so many different people trying to record this history by, say, scanning magazines, translating interviews, but it's all piecemeal out on the internet somewhere. And it needs someone to pull it together, to put it into a manuscript and say, here's the story of Silent Hill. Here's what really happened from the mouths of the people who were there, from the interviews in the magazines at the time, that kind of thing. And it takes a lot of work. I mean, my Silent Hill project has been 6 years. And there's other games I've been working on. I have a good Fatal Frame doc about finished that would make a really good story. Devil May Cry, I think, would be a very interesting one. Resident Evil, obviously, I hesitate simply because it's bigger, so more people have saved more info about it. There are smaller series that I'd love to do, like, say, the horror games of FromSoft, the Echo Knight games and Kuon, put those together. The Clock Tower and Haunting Ground games. Like, there are other titles that I think would be fascinating to explore that if these books succeed, maybe the company will say, hey, well, we'll give another one a shot, maybe, or hey, even if it's just this one-off thing, this is my dream and it happened, and it might get more attention on the channel and on the other research I've done on other games. It might give me more opportunities. I also want to thank Rely on Horror for taking me on to write, because that's also, legitimizing me a bit, giving me the sense that I'm a writer again, that was my first dream job. I wanted to be a writer and kind of stumbled into YouTube. My struggle with YouTube being how much work it takes for one person to do all the kind of work I'm doing on these long essay videos. My dream would be that we find a way to make the research succeed enough that I can have a small team that helps me do it. So once a month we could have a 2-hour-long documentary about a game, or maybe shorter kind of teasers, like, here's some info about a developer, and if you want the whole story, come read the book, But to make it so that the YouTube is not my main source of income, is not something where I have to push myself to publish enough to make money off of these videos, where I can just use those as free advertisement to let folks learn about video games, and then also say, if you want to know more, there's books. And that would be really cool. I can also say, I am very stable financially. I am very lucky. I have other opportunities. This is more just a case of the dream that I would love to make researching video games my job and my one priority. And if that is something you'd like to see happen, then I would say, buy the books when they come out. Become a member if you can. Even as little as $1 a month, if enough people do it, that's a huge difference. And that's money I can put towards buying magazines that have interviews in them, books that have different references in them, or, just keeping the lights on so that I can focus on working on this research and maybe publishing more books in the future. I'm really excited. I will probably be spending at least the next it depends. In my brain, I think I can finish it pretty quick, but I also know I don't want to overestimate. So I will say 2 months at most working on the manuscripts, and that will be my main goal, my main focus. And I think on the weekends, I'm going to try and stream with y'all, update you, not with any secret information, just, saying, hey, I'm playing some Silent Hill, because I gotta get it fresh in my head while I'm working on all this. And then hopefully once the manuscripts are done and that stage is finished, we're going to go back into the era where I'm going to try and post videos again, I'm going to try and stream again, and just, do YouTube as we wait and see what happens next. If you happen to have a history in the Silent Hill series and want to talk about it, please reach out to me. My email is thegamingmusemail@gmail.com, or I have emailed quite a few people in various positions who might have received one from my personal email. You can also email that one. You can comment on this video if you are a Silent Hill developer from any of the games. Origins, the arcade, the experience, play novel, HD collection, the phone game. I don't care which game it was. I'd love to hear about it. To me, all of the games are amazing in their own ways. They all have interesting flaws and interesting features. They are all part of this incredible story that is a kind of microcosm of horror gaming as a medium, because it has survived for so long across so many generations, across so many changes in culture, that it reflects a lot of how video games themselves have changed, how horror itself has changed, and it's a kind of, now with the new era, kind of an incredible survival story of its own. And there's a lot of interesting information. There's a lot of tragic information. There's a lot of mixed history that I think people will find interesting in the Eastern and the Western games, where really, it's a very unique experience of very talented developers trying their best, being screwed over in part by corporate almost every time, being screwed over by cultural differences and just timing and changes in the way the games are made that just made things more difficult, and people on the ground floor trying their best to make a good product and just struggling through it. And sometimes they really succeeded, and sometimes they kind of succeeded, and sometimes even the devs themselves felt like they failed. And that's the tragedy of working in that kind of this field, that it's very difficult, it's very hard, it's very time consuming and soul crushing. And there's going to be some of that in these books. I'm sure, been around Silent Hill long enough, you know there's some bullying and some nastiness and some very sad things. But there's also a lot of beautiful things, a lot of incredible art, a game that changed the world, game that changed my life. And it wouldn't have happened, this wouldn't have happened without all of you. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And I hope to see you all very soon. Bye-bye.